Hi, everyone. It's Thursday, and we are going to talk this morning with my friend Lorena Swift. And Lorena has been our longtime editor for this show, and well, since day one. In fact, so she's going to share some of her amazing encounters with God, and I think we ought to just start with how God directs our paths often. And to me, one of my that I'll always say in my life, probably the rest of my life, is how you got to be a part of this show with me. Who'd have ever guessed? Do you remember that day
uh,
as
Crystal
God
clear.
directed it? I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
I don't remember a lot of things, but that's one of those days I'll never forget. Same thing with coming on staff. That's a day I'll never forget. So it was actually 2 days. When I retired, uh, Vicki Cox said, "Don't worry what you're going to do. We'll keep you busy." I thought she meant volunteering. You came up to me in the sound booth at church on a Sunday and said, "Would you consider coming on staff?" And I said, well, let me pray
You
about it."
you
So
thought you had retired.
yeah, I did. But
Yeah.
like Pastor Rick said, I retired and now I have new tires. Anyway, I did pray about it. I really didn't want to come on staff. I love being a volunteer, but I said I would. And I just prayed that God close the doors if I'm not supposed to do this. Up until the very last second of doing the application, which I did at the last minute, my computer had been crashing every day for a month. That day I went, okay, this is going to be great. My application is going to crash and then I'm just not going to go. No, it didn't crash once the whole day. So then I came on staff. I was sitting up in the office, which mostly I work from home because I do computer work. So that day I was at the office. Rick comes walking in, all smiles. Guess what, everybody? TV6 has given us 10-minute show in the morning. And
Every
I
day.
yeah, Monday through Friday. And now I got to figure it out. And I went, "Can I help?" And he said, "Sure." And I thought that meant I was going to be head of the prayer team because that's what I'm good at. Well, then we started talking and he said, "Well, we need an editor." And I said, "Well, I don't know how to do that, but I could find out." And then Rick found out the church has this really great high power editing software that they said he would let us use. And so I read the manual and learned how to be an editor. And here we are.
It's
And I
so
wasn't
fun. And
normally in the office. Rick and I were never in the office at the same time, but that day we were.
see, it's things like that you and I recognize that this was God directed, God orchestrated all the parts. You can actually go back one step that it's amazing. I happened to be in the office of TV6 when Paul, the manager of TV6, came out. We happened to cross paths. He happens to ask. I mean, it's like, friends, this is God orchestrating lives. I said yes to a TV show that he proposed. I had no concept. And then I walk into the office. I never see Lorena, but she's there. I'm convinced that was God orchestrating our lives. And
Me
now, how
too.
many shows have you edited now?
Oh, we counted it up the other day. What was it? 1,800 or
It's
something?
over 1800. It's like
Yeah,
1850 shows.
yeah, yeah.
So I thank the Lord. I thank you. I put it right in that category of amazing things for God's glory. And so,
And I just tell everybody I'm living proof that you can teach an old dog new tricks because I never knew how to do any of this editing stuff, and I love it. It's just,
yeah, that might be
I'm,
an ongoing encounter
yeah,
with God too.
yeah, exactly. I'm blessed to be a blessing, and God is the one that puts those shows together. He just uses my fingers. So
Sometimes it's much more dramatic encounters with God, such as there was a time you were driving and you were really tired and you fell asleep at the wheel.
yeah, I was on my way to work. I was exhausted. Every time I got to a red light, I would start to doze off. And then I was driving up. I remember the spot. I fell asleep while the car was in motion, about 35 miles an hour. When I woke up, I was stopped behind inches behind another car at a red light. It had to be God because I was asleep. And I was awake the rest of the day because that really scared me. First words were praise God. When I was just like unbelievable.
I've had a similar thing happen to me. I fell asleep while driving, and God spared us I hit a guardrail on the freeway. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's like angels watching over us that God uses, or have you ever given it that any thought?
Oh yeah. In fact, when my dad died, there was an angel waiting for him for a week before he died in his bedroom up in the corner. Every day he'd look up there and shake his head no. And he waited for their 63rd wedding anniversary. And the day after that, he passed away. And when he passed away, he just looked up in the corner of the room, shrugged his shoulders and went, and he was gone. And it felt like I could see him arm in arm with Jesus walking off into heaven. Obviously, I couldn't see him, but in my mind, that was the picture I had. But
Was he seeing an angel, and did he tell you that?
he never said anything because he didn't talk the whole last week of his life
Oh.
until the last day when he woke up, told my mom he loved her. And the day before that, Rick Muchow came over and played Let Me Call You Sweetheart on his guitar for them, which was really cool. But my dad, then on their anniversary, and then he died the day after their anniversary. He just held on for that. But it was so clear he was seeing somebody who wanted him to go with him, and he shook his head. No, I very clearly he was saying no to somebody. He wasn't going to go until their anniversary came. So the day after.
Not only an encounter with God, but it's such a heartwarming story. Those who don't know, Rick Muchow used to be the worship pastor at Saddleback for 20, 30 years. And so your folks must have been involved at Saddleback?
Oh yeah, since the 80s. Yeah, since the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, and that day when my dad was so sick and I called the church, I talked to Liz Puffer. I had to leave her a voicemail and I said, "Today's the day I'm missing a small church because my dad is dying and it's in the daytime. All my friends are at work. I'm just missing a small church." And the next thing I know, Rick Muchow's at our front door. So, you get into a group, you get to know people, you make a big church small. So,
Thank you for sharing that, though. I mean, that's just an amazing story, and I look forward to meeting your dad someday.
yeah,
I personally am convinced that when he goes, it really is Jesus himself. I believe personally it's Jesus.
I do
From
too.
Psalm 23 that says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will be with you, says the Lord is my shepherd. I mean,
Yeah,
and he is the shepherd, and he's bringing us home. And oh, Lorena, that's just really, really a great story. I mean, on simpler things, so we only have a minute to go, but another time you've told me that like God has helped you find stuff.
oh, all the
That's
time,
one of your
but I
experiences.
have to pray. I have to remember to pray first instead of wasting time looking. But my most recent one was I cleaned off my desk and my off my dining room table, and I put my hard drives for church in my china cabinet, which I never do, but I had to do it fast. And then 2 days went by, and I needed them, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And I'm in a panic looking, and I didn't pray for them right away. And then I stopped and prayed. I still couldn't find them. One day later, I sat in a chair at the table, and I felt like I needed to go open the bottom of the china cabinet, and I did that, and there they were. And it was the last second that I needed to have them to get my work done for Sunday for church.
You've
And
got to remember to pray first.
pray first, pray first. And he tells me many times at the last minute like that. He doesn't just give me a vision, say, "Oh yeah, you left them over there." No, it's just like church. Sometimes we don't have the lyrics
I
ready.
gotta stop you. We're out of
Oh
time,
darn.
but we're gonna be back tomorrow. So
Yep,
tune back in. See you
yep.
then. Bye,
See you
everyone.
tomorrow. God bless.